Howdy everyone, and welcome to the next lesson on Romeo and Juliet. And we're going to be looking at the Friar. Okay, so we're looking at the moral messages of the play, and we're kicking off with your opinion on moral messages. What do you think the moral message is of Romeo and Juliet? Pause the video to answer that question. Okay, so the sort of things you might consider then is that violence begets violence. You are punished if you commit violence. You're also punished if you fall into love too quickly, and you're also punished if you do not respect the friendship that you have. So they're the sorts of moral messages that we'll be looking at. And today's lesson is going to be looking at how the Friar represents Shakespeare's opinions on these moral messages. So these are three examples, and we're looking at first of all. Two paintings that represent the Friar, and I want your opinion on how the Friar is represented. So the first one then, how do you think the Friar is presented in this painting then? Okay, think about where he is in relation to the other two characters. Think about his position, think about his clothing, etc. I want you to tell me what is the impression that you get of the Friar here. Okay, so the sort of things you might come up with then, he's quite protective of the couple. He's also looking quite suspicious in how he's looking around, and he's keeping their secret not revealed, isn't he? Okay, let's have a look at the next one then. So, what is your impression of the Friar in this one? Look at what he's holding. Look at his position in the painting. How is the Friar presented here? Okay, so the sorts of things you might come up with then are the fact that he's holding a light, so he's revealing what's happened. He's also looking down upon them as if he's in judgment. He's holding a shovel, which gives a sense of almost got like a grave digger type of reaction to it as well. And you've also got him overlooking the two dead characters and Juliet as though he's the cause of this. He's the cause of these problems. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at a scene in which he talks to Romeo. Now, ignore the left hand corner. Ignore that. Okay, we're going to be looking at what happens when Romeo tells the Friar that he loves Juliet. It's not at 1 scene 3. It's after that. But he tells the Friar that he's no longer in love with Rosaline. He's in love with Juliet. So this is what he says. Holy Saint Francis, what a change is here. Is Rosaline, whom you did love so dear, so soon forsaken? Young men's love then lies not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes. Jesu Maria, what a deal of brine has washed your sallow cheeks for Rosaline. How much salt water thrown away in waste, to season love that of it does not taste. The sun not yet your sighs from heaven clears. Your old groans ring yet in my ancient ears. Lo, here upon your cheek the stain does sit of an old tear that is not washed off yet. If ever you was yourself and these woes yours, you and these woes were all for Rosaline. What, are you changed? Pronounce this sentence then. Women may fall when there's no strength in men. So let's look at how the Friar is represented here then. So he focuses quite a lot on the fickleness, how easily Romeo changes his opinion and changes his thoughts on the women that he meets. So have a look at these quotations then, and you'll be answering a question about them in just a second. So young men's love then lies not in their hearts but in their eyes, in the attractiveness, and you could argue for sexual desire instead of love. Next one, how much salt water thrown away in waste. You'll know that salt water is referring to is tears. So he has been crying and it's a waste. That's how the Friar sees it. The sun not yet your sighs from heaven clears. Your old groans ring yet in my ancient ears. So you're moaning, you're complaining about Rosaline. Those thoughts, those things are still ringing in my ears. Like it's been so soon since you were moaning about it. Lo, here upon your cheek the stain does sit of an old tear that is not even washed off yet. So your tears for Rosaline haven't even disappeared yet, and you're already moving on to Juliet. So that's it. Those are his comments on fickleness. And then his final comment then And are you changed? Pronounce this sentence then. Women may fall when there's no strength in men. So he's saying there that women's survival relies on men being strong. So if you're not willing to be strong, then women are going to fall. Okay? Women may perish. Okay, so your question then, your task. What is the friar suggesting about men and their feelings? Pause the video to answer that. Spend about 5 to 10 minutes. Off you go. Okay, so the sort of things you might come up with then is that men are the ones that are responsible for women's survival, but they're also responsible for their own emotions, and that they need to keep on top of them if they're going to stay strong for the people. And perhaps he's suggesting that young people like Romeo change their mind too often. Let's have a look at another scene. So Act 2, Scene 6, he creates a warning. Okay, he tells the audience what is likely to happen. These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die like fire and powder, which as they kiss consume. The sweetest honey is lonesome in his own deliciousness, and in the taste confounds the appetite. Therefore, love moderately. Long love does so. Too swift arrives, as tardy as too slow. Let's take these slowly then. So these violent delights have violent ends. He suggested here that by the end of the play, something violent's going to happen. He uses a phrase like fire and powder, but that's in conjunction with the more positive phrase of triumph. Okay, which as they kiss consume. So it's almost like the love overwhelms everything that's around it. Therefore, he's kind of giving some advice here. Therefore, love moderately. Long love does so. So if you're willing, if you love moderately, if you love the right amount, not too intensely, then your love will last a long time. So then he says, too swift arrives, as tardy as too slow. So it's saying here that if it happens too quickly, okay, if it happens too quickly, then something may go wrong. Okay, so what I want your opinion on then is, why does Shakespeare give the friar the ability to predict the outcome of the play? Okay, here he is definitely predicting the outcome of the play, and what I want you to do is use these quotations to suggest why the friar, why not another character. Perhaps think about the fact that he's a religious person. So why is he predicting the future? Why does Shakespeare give the power to the friar? Okay, pause the video, 5 minutes, off you go. Okay, now this scene, I'm not going to read it to you, but you're welcome to. Now, this speech, this very long speech near the end of the play, it is the friar kind of talking through all the events of the play. Now, he does this perhaps to show the power that he has and that he understands it. It's also to help the audience to understand what they've seen and heard as well. So he kind of gives a summary. Shakespeare's giving them this power, perhaps to suggest the power of the religion, which is similar to what was happening in the previous scene. Okay, so you're welcome to read this if you want to. I'm not going to read it to you, but in this speech, he's summarising everything that's happened. Okay, final quotes then. Okay, the friar is willing to accept blame. If aught in this if aught in this miscarried by my fault, let my old life be sacrificed, some hour before his time, unto the rigour of severest law. So he's saying here that if it is his fault, my fault here, let my old life be sacrificed. He's willing to sacrifice himself if he is the person that's responsible. Some hour before his time, unto the rigour of the severest law. He's aware of what the captain says at the beginning of the play, what the prince says, sorry, at the beginning of the play. And what you guys to tell me is, why does the friar accept responsibility, and should he have? So think about what he did for Romeo and Juliet by getting them married. Think about the fact that he gave Juliet the potion to make her look dead. Is it his responsibility? And why do you think he takes it? Okay, just a couple of minutes, notes down, pause the video. Okay, so the big task of the lesson then is this. How does Shakespeare use the friar to show his own thoughts on love? So I want you to tell me, using Pezzle, how does Shakespeare use the friar to show his own thoughts on love? Shakespeare's obviously got his own thoughts on how young people fall in love and whether or not they should do. He also has his opinions on men in general and responsibility, etc. And what I want you to do is tell me in what ways the friar used to show Shakespeare's opinion on that. The extension task is the friar to blame? And if so, what should be the punishment? He offers himself up to be killed. And what I want to know is that an appropriate punishment for somebody who arguably is the cause for two young people dying? So, big task, 20 minutes. Answer this question. How does Shakespeare use the friar to show his own thoughts on love? Does he value it? Does he think it's something that people rush too much into, or is it something that you should go head over heels into? Analyze at least 3 quotations. Okay, 20 to 30 minutes. That is the final activity. Thank you guys. See you next.